Times are changing. Times don't just change on their own. They change when you have people like Andre who are moving the industry forward. We were at dinner last night and I was learning about his very rich history. And I was really, it was really humbling to hear how he got into the industry, the risks that he had to take in his career. And it got me thinking. I said, you're a little bit like the godfather of the industry. He's like, I don't like that word godfather. I'm like, okay, well, I think you're the captain of industry. He is truly a captain of industry. Just for a quick background on myself, I lead the Americas business at Circle. That means that me and my team are responsible for effectively working across the region to try to catalyze market activity and bring together amazing partners and friends. And that's what we're here to do today. So maybe if you could just take a minute, introduce yourself a little bit, and then we can move on from there.
For sure. Thank you very much. I think you over-exaggerate a little bit. Brazil, we have a very active and bright crypto community. So, I try to learn with all of these different people and use BTG platform to not only make good things, but help the industry move forward. But I've been in Pactual for the last 24 years. I used to be a trader my whole career. That's why we got into crypto, I told you yesterday. And building the digital asset BTG was a big challenge, but we're just beginning. So this partnership is one of the, let's say, signs that we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, amazing.
And great to be here. Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. And maybe I could just restate for everyone. So this time yesterday, Circle and BTG formalized a partnership. And at a high level, what does that mean? That means that if you're a business who already accesses USDC, a Brazilian business who accesses USDC today, perhaps through the US entity or through Singapore, you can go directly from Real to USDC through BTG, and that is going to be launching very soon. Secondarily, if you're a new business and you want to access USDC, you can go directly to BTG or to Circle, and they will onboard you directly. And your bank accounts that you have established here, those connections and those accounts will result in direct USDC minting. Perhaps what we should do now is just pivot over a little bit to your to BTG. I believe it was 2017,
yes,
where you got involved in the industry. Talk a little bit about that evolution. Talk a little bit about the risks that you and your company had to take back then.
Looking from now, it's like 7 years, but it looks like it was 50 years, right? Things in crypto happen so fast. And when you look at the state of the market back in 17 and look right now, it's a completely different situation in terms of maturity, in terms of the knowledge that the companies are. But we start trading Bitcoin at the time, okay? Very simple trade, arbitrage between Brazil and US. But that was when you start really engaged, not only studying and understanding what the technology is, what Bitcoin is, okay, that's good. But when you start actually playing with the technology, you start to understand the possibilities in, let's say, a deeper level. And that's what happened with us. When we started doing ARB, we're moving USD and Bitcoin back and forth, okay? And that was, let's say, the first realization that, okay, guys, there's something different here. It took some time, was 1 day or at least 2 days to move USD, okay? In Bitcoin, I was transferring like that, okay? And so that was our, let's say, first insight that, okay, guys, this thing works. We need to pay attention more on this. And then I would say it was a series of learnings, Spencer. It was not like that you wake up in the day that I know Kung Fu moment, okay? So it's a series of playing with the field, making mistakes, learning. And then, if you remember, 17 was that a huge bull run in Bitcoin, crypto. Then you have the ICO rush, where basically dozens of hundreds of new tokens coming into the market, a lot of fraud, a lot of scams. The headlines were very bad most of the time, okay? And when we look to that situation was another, we look in a different perspective because say, okay, guys, okay, there's a lot of bad stuff happening, but at the end of the day, what we are seeing is that like startup companies raising money globally through the issuance of tokens without a bank as intermediary. And for us, that was another, let's say, aha moment where, okay, if this thing comes into fashion, if this technology really can deliver that, it can completely change the way the capital markets works. And for us, it's a very important business, okay? So, and then, okay, guys, we need to understand more. We are very, I would say, hands-on at BTG. And so we decided, okay, we need to issue something. We need to do an ICO ourselves, okay?
Yeah.
And then we went to the drawing board. We ended up like doing tokenization in 19. It was a security token, pilot project, but with real clients, real money, real distribution. And was one of those phases that we really understand the maturity of the technology, the maturity of, let's say, the pipes, okay, how ready the pipes were. Back at the time, they were not that ready, right? But we built the product, we did tokenization, we paid dividends, clients received their money, everything went very well. And again, we were able to compare the difference when we were doing things using the legacy, the traditional rails, and using the digital assets, the crypto rails. Okay?
That makes a lot of sense. So you came at this from the lens of a trader, right? And it made sense. There was an arbitrage opportunity. You had to convince the firm. I'm sure it wasn't a simple, you had to go through committees.
It was not that difficult, okay? But at the end of the day, we were very suspicious about the arbitrage that we're seeing. Most of the times when you market, you see like huge arbitrage, you are missing something, okay? And then you do the trade and you lose money.
So the market though, right? So that makes a lot of sense. So the market now, there's an enormous flow of new entrants into the market, new tokens, players who are not necessarily credible.
Yeah.
I would imagine that was another inflection point for the firm and for you personally.
Yeah.
So how were you able to navigate that?
I mean, always trying to find the best partners. Sometimes we make mistakes and understanding. I mean, and I think at the end of the day, Spencer, is being very, pragmatic about what we're doing. Always question everything. Is a new technology, okay? It's an unregulated industry yet, okay? Things are improving, but it's still heavily unregulated. So it's choosing the right people to work with. And being very, I would say, risk-wise, being very cautious, okay?
Got it. That makes sense. So fast forward, here we are. You've got a room of 600 or 700 people. Everyone here is either has built a business or a career, or aspirationally wants to build a business or career. Talk a little bit about the use cases that BTG is looking at. The use cases that matter not only for the firm, but for Brazilian nationals and other businesses as well.
Yeah, I mean, for our perspective, first thing is that, okay, this new technology, this a new asset class, okay, things are evolving, regulation is evolving. So we need to offer access to this asset class to our clients, okay? Using the same standards that we have in BTG for every other asset class. So this was the first one, apart from the trading side. And this, it's just the beginning of the beginning. Okay, and because it's interesting, in Brazil, people use crypto in a different ways depending on the country, especially here, take like Latin America, if you go Mexico, a lot for remittances, Argentina, Venezuela, they don't have a strong currency right now, so they use a lot for reserve currency, for payments. Brazil, our currency is relatively well positioned. Payments, it's solved. So in Brazil, basically people use crypto to invest, to speculate. Okay, so this was the first thing that we mentioned. But when we go deeper, not only as the asset class, you always have to figure to separate the what is the asset class that we use to invest, to allocate part of our capital, and what is the technology. Okay, sometimes they converge, sometimes not. And when you look to the technology part, that's where the huge businesses will be built, because this will be the new infrastructure of the financial industry to begin with, okay? And again, we come to this realization when we start, dealing with the technology, and we can pretty much see, okay, it's a way simpler, way easier, way faster, and way more efficient to use the crypto rails then. But that takes time, okay? We were talking yesterday, if you remember, I think today is the first day that the US equity system, they are changing their settlements from T+2 to T+1, okay? And this approach that, it took ages to come to practice. And then when you figure out to take a look at, okay, all of this mess to change the settlements from T+2 to T+1, and then people are talking, okay, but if you are a Hong Kong asset manager, you are trading US equities, you might have problems because you are 12 hours in advance. So if you trade, maybe you won't have time to move USD to the US to be able to settle your transactions. So when you look to that and you compare of what we have in crypto right now, it's amazing. It's almost like, guys, forget about this, look here, right? This is the way. And for us, this is the big vision in terms of more long-term business opportunities for careers, for companies, for everything that touches it, okay? It will change the rails of the financial system.
Amazing. Yeah, I like the way you phrased the current state of our industry. It's the beginning of the beginning. And I think in many ways we agree. We heard from Jeremy Allaire earlier, who I think had a very similar message. When you think about the role of stablecoins, the role of USDC, and the role Circle can play here in Brazil and beyond, how do you think about it? How do you think about that among the realm of digital assets, companies, providers, technologies that are out there?
On a high level, the main thing that people need to understand is if this vision that the rails will change and financial instruments will go on-chain, which means they will be tokenized, you need tokenized money as well, okay? And the crypto industry did that some time ago at the end of the day because people demand USD on-chain, okay? Stable coins were created with these objective. And this is a crucial thing for this vision of the new rails and the new infrastructure happen. We won't see this happening if we don't have tokenized money. And tokenized money, in our view, they will have some different forms, okay? I don't know how, but we have stable coins. We might have some countries that will have CBDCs. In other will be tokenized deposits, like we have here in the Brazilian DEX project. And for me, this will change from country to country, from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, but all those things will interact because they can serve different functions that are complementary among each other. And so for us, the stable coin is like the killer app in crypto, okay? And again, it's not our vision. The market's already telling us like that. Okay, the volumes of stable coins are way higher. People use stable coins to move money, to trade in different exchanges, to move money. And this is just on the crypto industry. But the potential, like Jeremy touched a little bit on that, is moving these capabilities to the rest of the industry. And I think this is what with Circle, with USDC, is the big potential that we are foreseeing right now, is to bring money on-chain, on a regulated way, on with all the compliance of the measures that we need to comply with as a bank, as a stablecoin issuance. And we are very excited about that. I think that's what we're just beginning.
Amazing. Yeah, so we heard from our Circle executives, we heard from Jeremy Allaire and Cash Razagi on the vision, on what Circle's hoping to bring to Brazil and beyond. We heard from Thamila, who I thought had a really brilliant data-driven analysis of the market. I was particularly impressed with the fact that digital assets are touching twice the number of Brazilian nationals as regular traditional assets. That's incredible.
Yep.
You have to, I would imagine the bank, the firm is also looking at this as a major growth area.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
I mean, as we have crypto like bringing down frictions. Well, first of all, we have a younger generation that, well, is way more connected to digital assets, to crypto than the old generation, okay? Not only in Brazil, but also in the US. So this is something that drives this force. Of course, there is a speculation a part of it, okay? Brazilians love to speculate. And speculation is good. It's part. Every time in history that you look at that you put like three human beings together, they start to do commercial relations. There will be speculation. Okay, so it's in our like DNA. Okay, so it's a part of the business. But the amazing thing that Tamila talked a little bit. The Brazilians first. We have a big country. Very sophisticated financial industry, okay? One of the few financial industries that went through, let's say, 20, 30 years of hyperinflation and survived, okay? And we have a very tech-savvy population. So when you put these ingredients together, then you see those like 10 million, I'm not sure it's 10 million, but everything north of that number is already a lot of people. And so that tells a little bit about our market and the opportunities that we have here. But now the challenge is, okay, how do we move from the investment speculation to real use cases? How we are able to improve the use case that we have in Brazil and abroad as well. And again, there will be several different use cases. For instance, in Brazil, people used to have dollars to buy dollars because, well, it's a strong currency, okay? So doing that with stablecoin is way easier in Brazil for a resident in Brazil to do in another type of instrument, okay? Starting by that, very simple stuff. Then we can talk about like structured products, things that companies might be able to use for like hedging, treasury management. And again, when you bring that on chain, when you bring that using stablecoin, then you can use all the power of like smart contracts, automated execution, things like that. So this is some of the very simple stuff that we envision that we'll be able to build together. And in the first phase is like, okay, almost every new technology, they copy what the former technology do in a better way, more efficient. That's what we've been doing probably in the beginning. And then another use case, I think definitely will rise. When you have Drex online, then we have a whole other types of like possibilities interacting with different public blockchains, interacting with offshore markets. Our FX regulation is improving as well. And I mean, stable coins, they will play huge role on this.
Amazing.
It's not that it will play a huge role, Spencer. I mean, we need tokenized money. Otherwise, nothing of this vision that we are talking about will happen.
Yeah, you have obviously a culture that is very entrepreneurial. We agree. You've got, a very friendly regulatory environment. We think that my personal view, having spent 20 years in payments, I think we saw a slide earlier from Camilla that said this is Brazil, Pix represent the second largest real-time payment network globally. That's true by the numbers, but if you look at the adoption curve, right? If you look at, what did it take for India to develop a real-time payment network? It was sitting dormant for 7 years, and it took a public company to force it took a private company to force the public sector to innovate. Here, yes, there was the influence of a global pandemic, but this happened, I think, in light speed.
Yeah.
Right in front of our eyes. The entire economy has shifted. What are going to be the things that truly catalyze digital assets here? What are the next? We talked a lot about inflection points last night in the industry. What needs to happen here for this to get the adoption of Pix?
I would say, having the adoption of Pix as a bar would be, it's a very high bar, okay. But I would say we need to have a real use case, okay. So our job, not only in our partnership, but the job of everybody here that is working in the space, is to find real use cases and use the technology to not give like 20% improvement, to find the 10x improvement that we can have in this technology. Okay, of course, sometimes we take a look. I mean, things in financial markets, they are a little bit slower than other areas. And right now, I mean, I think they should be this way. Okay, we're dealing with money, with investments, with the life savings of our customers. We are a heavily regulated industry, right? So, and I like what I think, I'm not sure if Portillo of Cash said, is way more like evolution than revolution.
Yeah.
But for that happen, we need to find the real use cases that, well, people who don't even have to understand what is a stable coin. They will be using it will better than what they had in the past, and they will adopt that. That's what's happened with Pix. Why people adopt Pix? Because it's easy. It solved a huge problem. Okay.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, I mean, it's one of the biggest cases of financial inclusion in the world. Okay. And it was driven by the central bank. So
Amazing. It's amazing.
It's quite amazing. Yeah.
So pivoting just a little bit, I want to come back to an idea. So as an innovator at your company, at your firm, you launched your own dollar-backed stablecoin. You've made significant investments in digital assets. You're building structured products. You want to bring digital assets to the entirety of your client base. Why choose Circle?
I think I mentioned before, I mean, we're always trying, first of all, our challenge at BTG is, okay, especially in crypto, is figuring out, okay, what's our DNA, what should we focus on, and what do we do well, okay? And so when we start having our conversations, it was clear that being able to partner with Circle will allow us to scale way faster with you guys. Okay, you guys already working a lot in like a global presence, and so it was at the end of the day a business decision and very focusing. Okay, guys, what we can add, what we are good at, what we are not that good at, and how can we leverage our business and the solution for our clients as fast as we can.
That makes sense.
And when you put everything on the table, that was what we get to the decision.
What do you, as you talk to the people here in the audience, what do you see as some of the risks and some of the things that it is as an industry we can come together on, things that we need to be cognizant of as we try to make this technology more pervasive?
I mean, risks are plenty, right? Always, right? So life is a risky endeavor. So I mean, we have a regulatory risk. I think it's one of the biggest one. I think we're moving in a very good direction in Brazil, but still, central bank will come up with a stable coin regulation. Okay, so I think that's a risk, and in that case, it will start by defining, okay, what is a stable coin? Okay, that will be the first challenge because that will have like all the other regulatory implications. We have some, I would say, technology risk, which means those public networks that we are using, will they eventually fail, things like that. And I think there's also, I will not say as a risk, but a huge challenge for us, especially in Brazil, is that to grow the amount of people that we need to work in this industry, in that end of the day, build the solutions that we will be using. Okay, crypto is still again active community in Brazil, but we have to grow the pipe. We don't have enough developers. Okay, and this I would say you can call a risk in terms of how fast we'll be able to
maybe an
scale.
opportunity.
It is. But I mean, and it will not be like just BTG and Circle. We need to all the market to participate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe just to go back to the central bank and to Drex for just a moment. Obviously, this is an evolving area. How do you or the firm see that? Like, what is the best case scenario outcome for how you work and partner with the central bank and maybe institutions more broadly?
I mean, the central bank is being quite open here to the market. I would say from starting with the Pix, Pix was a little bit more like driven by the central bank. But as we've moved to open finance, now with Drex, they are getting more and more open to the market, open to hear different opinions, open to understand, okay, guys, what do you think we should build? The relationship with central bank has been, I would say, quite good. But the challenge, I think it's, everything is on the agenda, right? So we start with payments. Now it's like open finance, open banking. That comes, a lot. The open banking, the open finance thing, it's very close to all the Web3 agenda. Okay, it's not exactly the same, but it's everything related. Okay, it's my own data. It belongs to me. I can use it wherever I want and however I want. And so when we move to the, let's say, the Drex, that end of the day is, okay, bringing this new infrastructure, the crypto infrastructure that was built as a parallel infrastructure, how can we bring this to mainstream? Yep. With regulation, with right, let's say, a proper guardrails and things like that. I think the conversation is in the right direction. We still have like some challenge in terms of technology, in terms of the architecture. Okay, so it won't be something that will be solved in like 6 months. The market got really overexcited with Drex and the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Okay. But I think every time, Spencer, that you have like capital allocated, good brains, let's say reasonable regulation, and let's say demand, I think the solutions will arise. Okay,
Yeah.
in technology and regulation.
Absolutely, we agree. To summarize at a high level, you need government and businesses, large and small, who are building the next wave of their technology stack, of their infrastructure on blockchain technology. What the central bank is proposing here is exactly that.
Yeah.
And that is phenomenal. I think that's world class. You see companies like BlackRock out of the US who are now recognizing that it isn't moving from T3 to T1 settlement, but it's how do you enable an investor to move in and out of a product instantly, on a night, on a weekend. I think that will be, in our view, that will be the expectation.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about that situation in Brazil is that most of the time, you need to have the proper leadership in companies to drive that. That's what's happening right now in BlackRock. They completely changed in terms of you have the leadership driving the innovation and driving the direction strategically of the company. But the interesting thing is here in Brazil, because we have some, let's say, very forward-thinking leaderships in the private market in Brazil. But in that case, Drex, for example, the central bank agenda pushed a lot of institutions that were not paying attention, and now they start, okay, guys, we need to pay attention to that. I need to hire some guy that understands about crypto, okay? And so in the US, I think it's way more driven by, let's say, the private sector, okay? But in Brazil, I think this combination, I think it gets us to sort of like a sweet spot in terms of opportunity. And just to emphasize that, I think in Brazil, we have a excellent window of opportunity in the let's say the next 2 to 3 years. We have the regulation going on. We have like a friendly regulators. We have, again, like I said, very sophisticated financial industry, very bright people. And when you look to the US, which is the main player in financial markets, we don't see this environment, at least as of now. Things improved a lot in the last 2 years, but that's all because of elections, okay? So let's see how much this thing is for real.
Yep.
And I think when I see for Brazil, that's a huge window of opportunity. We have the chance of really being one of the main hubs for digital assets in the world.
Yeah.
We won't be the bigger one because it's not the bigger economy, but we have all the possibilities to be one of the main ones. And as throughout my career, I saw a lot of market of Brazil losing a lot of markets, important markets, to the US, to other countries, because we didn't have the proper regulation and we didn't have the proper, I would say, mindset from the regulator. And now when I look at that, it's completely the opposite.
Yeah.
That's I emphasize a lot these because I think it's a huge opportunity for everyone here as well.
We could not agree more. I think
just
you
need to move
summarized.
fast.
Yeah, I think you summarized it incredibly well. You need the right leadership. You have this window of opportunity as an industry, and I think also as a country, to capitalize on what is almost a perfect storm in a really positive way. I want to just say we're up on time. I'm struggling to see the clock here. We're up on time. I want to say a big thank you, not only to Andre, but his entire team. Marcelo, who's in the room, you've been incredible to work with, and we are thrilled for what our partnership has in store.
Thanks
so thank
so much,
you very
Spencer,
much.
and pleasure to be here. Thank you, guys.